Good evening, everyone. We are ready to begin this evening's board meeting. Sergeant at Arms, has the lobby been cleared? Thank you, Chief. We request that all electronic devices be turned off or put in silent mode. Also, please refrain from using flash photography except during the special presentation portions of the meeting. I'm pleased to welcome you to the July 30th, 2024 School Board Action Meeting, and the time is 6:01 p.m., and this meeting is hereby called to order. We'd like to take this opportunity to remind the members of the public of the district's mission, which is to ensure that each student achieves his or her highest personal potential and the district's vision to be a world-class school system. This evening's agenda includes a moment of silence, pledge of allegiance, acknowledgement, public comment, consent action items, which include 2 items under board office, 2 items under executive services, 26 items under academic services, 6 items under business services, 7 items under human resources, 1 item under information systems, 20 items under operations, and 4 items under good of the order, other business. Board members, is there a motion to adopt the agenda?
I move to adopt tonight's agenda.
Do we have a second?
I'll second. Lisa
Okay.
Giovanelli.
Moved by Ms. Langford Fleming, seconded by Ms. Giovanelli. Please record your vote. Motion is approved, 6-0. Okay. As is the custom of the board, I will lead us in a moment of silence, after which Mrs. Giovanelli will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand. Before we take this, I would like to dedicate this moment of silence to one of our law students, Isaac Breeze from North Fort Myers High School. So please dedicate that as we take a moment of silence. Thank you. Thank you. Ms. Giovanelli?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. Next on the agenda are acknowledgements. The word for this month is self-control. Self-control is the ability to direct or regulate your actions, emotions, and words. The design displayed by Anna Melinak, a 9th grade student at Estero High School. You can see on the board. So, thank you. Moving on, the next item on the agenda is public comment. Attorney Debris Bruno, could you please address the item of public comment?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good evening. School board policy provides the opportunity at this point in the meeting to address the board concerning any matter on this meeting's agenda or any other matter relevant to the operation of the school district. Please complete a public comment card and put it in the basket provided. If you need a public comment card, they are provided by our staff. The rules concerning public comment are posted in the back and will be made from the podium in the front center aisle. Please be advised that the board will not respond during public comment to remarks made by speakers. Concerns will be addressed by the superintendent or his staff as necessary, and the chair may comment as deemed appropriate at the conclusion of public comment. The superintendent or the board attorney may also comment if deemed appropriate. The purpose of public comment is to provide feedback on district issues such as duties, responsibilities, decisions, and the general operation of the district. The school board is viewpoint neutral during public comment. We ask that decorum be kept and respect be shown, which is what is expected when a government agency conducts official business. Therefore, abusive language such as cursing, insults, derogatory language levied against an individual or a class of people are prohibited. Further, personal attacks such as name-calling are prohibited. In addition, clapping, hissing, booing, or display of temper during public comment is prohibited. Speakers who fail to follow proper decorum in the chambers will be ruled out of order by the board chair or the parliamentarian. Any speaker continuing with such remarks will be required to relinquish the microphone per board policy 0169.1 and may be removed from the chambers by the sergeant at arms. Per Board Policy 0169.1, the time per speaker is 3 minutes if there are 20, 2 minutes if there are 30, and 1 minute if there are 31 speakers or more. The maximum time allotted for public comment is 1 hour, 60 speakers. You will find a countdown on the big screen in the front of the room. Once your time has elapsed, the microphone will automatically shut off. Please state your name when you approach the microphone. I will call your names 5 speakers at a time. Please follow the staff's direction when lining up. Mr. Chairman, there are 3 individuals that wish to address the board this evening. The time per speaker is 3 minutes.
Thank you, Attorney DeBrie-Bruno. Please ensure you have completed a public comment card to provide public comment. This card is a public record identifying those who speak and providing contact information for follow-up. These cards are located with the staff in the hallway. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to make public comment that has not filled out a card? Please raise your hand. Okay. Seeing none, at this point, Attorney DeBrie-Bruno, please proceed with public comment.
Thank you. Will the following individuals please line up? William Bronson, Erica Villa, Denise Ballant. And we would ask that you stand where our Sergeant at Arms is. Mr. Bronson, you can go ahead and proceed to the microphone. And then just wait for the timer to come up. You'll have 3 minutes, and once you see that, you can start speaking. There you go.
Okay, thank you for this opportunity. I'm William Bronson. I'm the president of an organization called Enlightened Education Co-op. A couple years ago, we had a small pilot project with the district to introduce retired teachers to be available as teacher assistants. We found, even though the pilot project was brief and small, we were convinced that it was extremely successful. And I'd encourage the school board and the district to consider meeting some of their staffing issues by considering hiring retired teachers as part-time assistants. And they could be available for between $20 and $25 an hour without any further expense to the district. But they would only work under the conditions our research has found on a part-time basis, possibly 10 to 20 hours a week. And they would not be interested in being used as either paraprofessionals or as subs or guest teachers, but simply assisting current teachers as another adult in the classroom. And I think that would significantly cut the loss of teachers to the system. The other point I wanted to make is our organization is developing a curricula for teaching comparative religion as an elective in the public schools. As you know, this has become a hot button issue, and I'd encourage the board and the district to stay ahead of this because it's feeding into the divisiveness we see on the political scene. And if it's done properly, it can be a good thing. And but if it's done improperly, it can create a lot of legal and political tensions. I'm leaving with you 2 documents, one from the ACLU, who by the way is planning to sue Louisiana for posting the 10 Commandments, but ironically has endorsed a policy for teaching the Bible in the public schools under the guidelines set by the courts. And those guidelines are essentially 3. It has to have a secular purpose. It cannot create undue entanglement of the government with religion. And it can neither promote nor denigrate any particular religion. And our curriculum that we're developing will meet all those tests and keep any district that decides to use it out of legal trouble. So I see my time is coming up. There's more details here. The statement from the ACLU, also 11-page guideline of how curriculum.
Thank you, Mr. Bronson. Your time is up. Your time is up. Thank you.
Next speaker, please.
Hello, my name is Erica Valla. I'm support staff of 14 going on 15 years, and I just want to thank you for the opportunity to speak to you on behalf of the Lee County School District support staff employees. We feel the need to make you aware of the inequitability playing field when it comes to compensation comparison. This is not a negotiation in any way. We just wanted to make you aware. The district commissioned the company Evergreen to do a wage study. We have been made aware that you intend to, or intended to bring everyone up to the 50% or average of the comparable schools with like positions, and this seemed fair. However, what is extremely unfair is your loyal support staff who have been consistently paid below the average and are on the lowest in the state, while administrative positions are paid well above and are among the highest in the state. It appears that it hasn't been recognized for experience levels or ranges. Mid-level support positions in the largest school district, Miami-Dade County, is on the average of $15,000 more than ours, while the entry executive level position, our minimum starting salary is $15,700 more than their maximum, and they are larger than we are. The word used to describe what has transpired is compression here. What's not talked about is that the money saved on the backs of the same support staff employees that have been loyal to the district and hung in there year after year, hoping that the district would do right by them. To be a world-class school system, we can't have support staff not being able to make ends meet. It's time to finally make this right, for the backbone of the district, which is the support staff, and pay a fair wage. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Denise Ballant. I've been a school bus driver for 27 and a half years for Lee County School District, and I love my job. I've been on disability for a little bit now for medical issues. I have received a letter from the school district to ask me to sign a paper that they will terminate me if I don't sign in 15 days. So I signed it, and then that there's still a possibility that I might get terminated on the first day of school if I don't return, even though I have, paperwork from my doctor. And so I reached out to payroll to ask if I could get my longevity pay, and I was told, no, you cannot have it until you return back to work. I'm paying $873 a month to keep my benefits for my job while I heal. And I was real bad off when I signed that paper. I'm feeling better, but I can't return to work. And I just wanted to know if I could get my longevity pay that I've worked for. And that's it. Thank you. That's it, right?
Mr. Chairman, that concludes public comment.
Pardon?
Thank you, Attorney Debris Bruno.
Thank you.
Thank you for everyone's public comments. Appreciated. Dr. Savage or Attorney Debris Bruno, is there anything you wish to address regarding public comment tonight?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I think I can just give some very brief responses. Number one, our first speaker, Mr. Bronson, I believe he's had some extensive inquiries with a number of organizational contacts. He's been referred to different areas such as procurement and others to listen to the proposals. As far as Ms. Vela, wanted to make sure, I highlighted for all that obviously a big part of the reason digging into the Evergreen study, specifically for our support staff, because she's really an ambassador for all the support staff in this respect, that we value our employees tremendously, and that a big part of the Evergreen study was to really unpack what is the current lay of the land relative to that piece. So that's a lot of data for us to comb through, and I know that that's why we wanted the SPALC and our district management team in their negotiations to really have a lot of access to that information so they can really try to understand what are the best ways forward. And so that's a process to go through and dig into that. And then last but not least, Denise, our bus driver who was speaking to that, I've asked someone from HR to reach out on her specific case so that they can make sure that it's current understanding and that everyone's on the same page in terms of those aspects as well. I don't want to get into her specific case on the dais as well, but then I've asked someone from HR to reach out to her.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Savage. Thank you again, as I said to everyone, we truly, truly appreciate your public comments up here. At this point, we're going to move on to approval of our action items in the agenda under consent. This documentation for action items listed under consent is made available to board members 7 business days prior to the board meeting. We're expected to review all the material, and we have an opportunity to speak with the superintendent with any questions we may have regarding the recommendations. Some of these items have also been briefed or workshopped with the board in advance of appearing on the action agenda. Board members, are there any agenda items that you wish to pull for discussion under the unfinished business table item portions of your agenda? Ms. Juvenelli?
I have none, thank you.
Ms. Jordan?
I have none, thank you.
Mr. Persons?
I have none.
Ms. Langford Fleming?
I have none.
Ms. Morgan?
I have none.
And I have none. Is there a motion to approve tonight's agenda for consent items? Ms. Jordan?
I move that we approve the consent items as written.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second it, thank you.
Okay. Moved by Ms. Jordan, seconded by Ms. Juvenelli. Please record your vote. Agenda is approved, consent agenda is approved 6-0. Now is the one of the best portions of the night. Dr. Savage, please introduce any administrators in attendance with a new assignment approved under the consent agenda.
Thank you, Chairman. And this is a great opportunity because we have a number of folks in attendance here tonight, but just want to remind all of our new administrators, as you're recognized today, that it's a tremendous show of faith when the board, the governance team, myself, and this district central leadership really give you the opportunity to grow professionally in the way that you are. Some of you I've known since you were a student, and to see you not become just a student, but then to become a teacher, an administrator. It's a tremendous privilege in this district when you have the opportunity to serve in this capacity. It's very, very challenging. And it's such a show of faith when the board and the governance entrust us all with the ability to serve our children and our community in this way. I also want to thank the families who are here to support and stand behind the person being recognized today, because they don't do it alone. We all have a support system, and that's how we're able to put in the hours and to work very hard to set the example that we need to help lift up our students and help lift up the teachers and support staff who help transform the future for tomorrow. So I want to extend a big thank you to all of you, and I'm going to recognize individually if you're in attendance, starting with Courtney Wood from Diplomat Middle, Assistant Principal. Jennifer Sarciniak, East Lee County High School, Assistant Principal. Kim Cook Morrison, was unable to attend, but our coordinator in exceptional student education. Denora Pays from G. Weaver Hips Elementary, Assistant Principal. Susan Lufgren at Heights Elementary, Assistant Principal. John Bridges, Ida S. Baker, Assistant Principal. Sally Ball, North Fort Myers Academy for the Arts, Assistant Principal. Ashley Lane, San Carlos Park Elementary, Assistant Principal. I'd also like to recognize Tiffany Adams, going at Harns Marsh Elementary, Principal. As well as Robert Cooper, going to Student Services, Director of Student Services. All right, thank you to all of our administrators.
Thank you, Dr. Savage, and congratulations to everyone. Again, as I said, this is always one of our favorite parts of the meeting. So congratulations, good luck, enjoy it, and we'll see you soon. Anyone else, obviously, in attendance for this is free to leave at this moment for the meeting. At this point, we're going to go on to, as a board, we're going to go on to good of the order and board comment. I know we do have two motions. I am going to take just a brief pause for a moment as we wait for the boardroom to be cleared. We're going to resume our board meeting. I'm going to go down the line, and whenever each board member has their motion, please present at that point. So we're going to start with Ms. Juvenelli.
And I'll be really quick. I just want to welcome back all the teachers and staff to get ready for the new school year. It's exciting. And I look forward to 2024. And I want to congratulate everyone on all their promotions. And that's really all I have this evening. So I just look forward to a new school year. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Juvenelli. Ms. Jordan?
Okay, I just have a few things as well. I was able to attend the new teachers training, the opening and the closing. It was really exciting. And I told them all today when I thanked them for being here that Lee County has shut their doors so they cannot leave Lee County. They're stuck with us. So we're keeping them all. For 30 years. For as long as we need them. Also, I was able to, and Mr. Parsons over here attended with me, the district leadership at Lehigh, where everyone from the district came down, and they had a lot of classes. They had a gentleman who was speaking, who did the opening session and spoke about the different generations and how the makeup of our schools look and how do we perceive or receive the information that we're speaking to one another. And I thought that was really great, and I was able to stay. I stayed for a couple of the classes. I know our legal department did a great explanation of everything that's taken place, especially with our legislation and everything else. But it was, I thought it was, to me, it was good for me to be there because now I know what you all have heard. So when somebody says something to me, I know that that's truth because I heard it as well. So I thought that was a good thing to be at. Also, I wanted to say a big thank you to Mr. Eady and his team. I went to the closing ceremony for SOS, which is Support Our Students. A lot of the kids that were there this year were incoming freshmen. So they were all excited about going into high school and the opportunity, and they actually had to capstone where they did a story of where they want to be, what did they learn. And it was nice going around and talking to all of them, because the one child that I spoke with, when I asked him what his hobby was taking a nap. I couldn't figure out how that worked, but He was really, that was his true hobby. So, but just saying that, it gave them the opportunity to speak to everyone, look people in the eye, shake their hand, and they're ready for high school. So that to me was really exciting to see that. And I think we had maybe 80 to 100 kids. There was quite a few kids. It was great. And thank you so much, Mr. Fisher, for bringing up Breeze, Isaac Breeze. I did go to the to his celebration of life at North, and that was very hard. But thank you for doing that. Sorry. Also, I wanted to say Franklin Park is opening, so I'm really excited about that. It's taken 5 years, but it's here. August the 5th, Franklin Park will have their ribbon cutting. So I'm really, please make sure that you go there. At 3 o'clock, they have a brick walkway dedication for the first principal of Franklin Park. Also, there is a ribbon cutting that will be taking place at G. Weaver for their early childhood center. And I know the principal was here this evening and is excited to open up and see all the little kids in there. And is he saying no? Oh, I thought he said something to me. And that's at 3 o'clock on Monday, on August 5th as well. So, and just, welcome back to all the teachers, staff. We're all here. We're happy that you're here, and please stay with us. And we're going to have a great school year. We're all going to be there for you, and let's go. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Jordan. Mr. Persons?
Yes, I want to echo that. We're really happy to have all the new teachers every year. And yes, they may not leave. Okay. I received, as did I believe every board member, an email concerning Bishop Verot being left out of any of the schedules for athletics in any sport this year against any of our public schools or charter schools. I grew up playing against private schools, and went over the past years we have played against the different private schools. I know Collier County includes them in their schedules, and I just think that these kids grew up playing each other in little league sports and pee-wee football, and I just believe we need to include them. Also, the parents are taxpayers too, very much so. So anyway, I would like to make a motion to include Bishop Verot at a reasonable and appropriate level in all our sports.
There's a motion on the floor. Do we have a second?
I'll
I will
second
second.
that too.
Motion moved by Mr. Persons and seconded by funding Ms. Juvenile, either whoever, it doesn't matter, I guess, Ms. Juvenile. So, but sorry. Discussion before we go to public comment. Ms. Juvenile.
I would like to ask the superintendent why, why aren't we have not been playing Verot, and how long, where's that, how long has that been in place?
Board Member Giovanelli, when this was brought to my attention, I scheduled the meeting to meet with our director over athletics, and so that meeting is scheduled for tomorrow. He's going to give me the full rundown of the whole situation. My understanding is that there's a number of factors on it, but I'm going to get a more detailed understanding of precisely how that occurred, and I'm going to be finding that out tomorrow. I think based on the board's direction today in particular, that helps me have a clear understanding of directives versus information.
Thank you. So my question is kind of tied into that as well. How does this, I'm all for our children playing against each other. I think it's good we're all part of the same community. But what does that, has a schedule already been written? How would this affect our motion? How would that affect the schedule? How does that affect anything that would be taking place that has already been put into writing? Is that just for this one particular school? Because we're speaking about one school. So I just want to make sure that we're speaking about one, are we excluding others? And what effect does that have to us as a district?
My understanding is that a schedule has been posted and that has, but at the same time, I'm getting more information tomorrow. That was already the plan, was to get an understanding of why we are where we are and specifically what are all those entanglements. But again, we'll work through those based on the board's direction. I'll be happy to sit down, and again, that might change the nature of that conversation tomorrow based on the board's direction today. But yes, my understanding is this is involving a particular school, but my understanding based on the information that I've been received thus far is that was the school that was excluded. That individual school was excluded, at least in particular for one particular sport.
So if I may then, if you're saying that we're having you are having a discussion about this tomorrow, and we have another meeting which is scheduled for next week, would this be better for us to wait on this motion till next week when we find out if what has taken place, or if we're going to be disrupting everything?
I would not
that's-
begin
I'm
to
asking-
judge the board. I think you all contemplate these items. I think my job, obviously, is I want to be able to provide you the best information that I possibly can. And that's kind of my obligation, is to get the understanding. My understanding is there's a lot of layers to it, so I'm unpacking that, getting the best understanding I can. But I would say my inclination is, no matter what the board's direction, I'm going to do the very best I can to give you the information and any recommendations, and to deal with whatever the board direction is, to try to provide you the best answers I can, and to be able to execute the directions that you give me with the folks that I can.
Ms. Morgan was next, then Mr. Persons.
So I move we table it until we table the motion until the next meeting, when we have an opportunity to hear from the superintendent and have all of the information we need, because I have the same questions everybody else has, what is the impact on our program, what other schools are involved. I have no objection to doing it, but I don't think we have enough information to make an informed decision at this point, particularly given that this is something that we stopped doing, and we don't know why.
Are you making then a motion at this moment, or do you want me to have?
I'm making a motion to table it until August 6th, 7th? What's the date? Our next meeting?
Okay. Is there a second on that? Okay. Now, back to discussion, clearly just on this motion. On the motion to table. Go ahead, Mr. Persons.
Sometimes I look at things and I just see the wrong. Simple as that. It's not just football. It's every sport. Bowling. What could Monroe have done to be excluded from our schedules for bowling or for girls flag football? If they're not included in our schedules, then these Lee County students, not public students, but Lee County children, are going to have to travel 200 miles just to play one game. I mean, it makes no sense to me whatsoever when it's been done in the past. I mean, if it was something brand new, if it was a brand new school just opening today, and we already had our schedules out there, but it never should have been done in the first place. To me, it's just wrong, and I grew up in athletics teaching kids, and I taught many students that played at all the public schools and Faroe. And I even coached Faroe one year. So I see that I think we should just go ahead and direct, the board should direct them, and it should just get changed. We have it where appropriate in the emotion, and that just gives a little leeway for the superintendent ADs to do what's right. I mean, you don't play football against every team. It's by size and things like that. So I think it's flexible enough that we should go ahead and go tonight. But if the board wants to table it, then I'll bring it forward again next week. But right now, I'm for bringing it on forward.
Ms. Langford Fleming?
Thank you. It's a great point that Mr. Persons brings up. His motion says reasonable and appropriate. For me, no matter what information comes my way this week or next week, the words reasonable and appropriate are going to, I'm going to make my decision off of that because I have a little bit of background knowledge about the situation. Yes, we all did receive this email. I've had conversations with constituents of the community regarding this for some months now. And, you know, first of all, we always want to talk about inclusion and not exclusion. That's exactly what's being done right here. Not to mention, Mr. Persons also brought up the other thing I had written down. We travel outside of our district to play other teams. And in my opinion, why wouldn't we save taxpayer money, transportation money, time to play right here in our own county first? I do know that when you're, depending on what sport it is, you do have to travel outside of your county several times to participate in a district because your district is larger than your county, depending on the sport, depending on how many girls and boys play that sport, et cetera, et cetera. But I always go back to what are we doing, what's best for kids. And in my heart, having 3 of my own children, they have friends in private school and public school, and these are all our kids. So if we're doing what's best for kids, I think it's important that we keep that in mind, whether it be the kids that attend the Lee County public schools as well as the private schools.
Ms. Giovanelli?
Ms. Fleming, can you share your background information? Because I don't have any, so I'm curious.
Just some conversations that I've had of the exclusion pieces, especially bowling. The bowling grid, from my understanding, has been something that's been around for quite some time. And to have, I think the date's right here, or at least an insinuating of they just recently found out, just so that the public is aware, the first official day of practices was Monday for all fall sports. So you're going to tell fall sport teams that had been counting on having a schedule, they now have 1, 2 bowling, for example, they have 2 schools that are willing to play them. And they start the same time as football and volleyball and cross country, and I don't think I'm leaving out anything. So they're basically walking into a school year now with no games, and the first football game, I think, in the district is a week from Friday. So, and I'll be interested to hear what our athletic department has to say. But that's all I have for now. Yeah.
Mr. Persons?
Just one other thing I wanted to bring up is, even though they're a private school, they are a member of the Florida High School Athletic Association, which means that they progress further in whatever schedule they have. You know, public schools have to play them. I mean, they're part of the state system. So it just seems wrong to exclude someone right in your own county. So I don't really want to delay it, only because with school starting so quickly, if there's anything we can do that's reasonable and appropriate, I'd rather get started now than wait a whole nother week after school has started. That's just my opinion.
Anyone else? Go ahead, Ms. Giovanelli.
I tend to agree to not wait unless they were sanctioned by FSHAA, which I don't believe that is the case. I don't know. I know this board didn't, or the prior board, I don't recall anybody making that decision. It came from someone in the district. So I would like the background information, what the superintendent finds out, but I'm for not waiting as well, so the schedules can be adjusted. Another delay, a week delay can mean a game for someone, some kind of a game. So I would support it to moving forward. And I agree that reasonable and appropriate level in all sports, I think gives still guidance, but is not directive to a particular game or anything like that. So that's where I stand. Thank you.
Anything else before I give any comments? At this point, in regards to the table, I would be not in favor of tabling the moment, just for the reason that, I mean, the motion's, I don't want to be names very open-ended. It really doesn't, I mean, it's, you know, as I said, it's directive to a point, but I'd argue it's pretty much open to interpretation, and I believe Dr. Savage would then be able to use that to implement. The administration, him, would be able to use their best foot forward to figure that out on that end. So, for the motion to table, Attorney Dupree Bruno, do we need public comment?
So I just wanted to make one clarifying parliamentary point, that I'm treating this as a motion to postpone to a certain time, because Ms. Morgan's motion was to lay until August 6th, so it's not really a motion to lay on the table. But at this time, it's a administrative procedural motion, so I think we go to a vote, and then we can go back to the original motion.
Okay. So just to clarify, it would be motion to postpone to August 6th meeting certain?
Yes.
Okay, we're going to do this as a roll call vote, so signify aye or nay. Ms. Juvenelli?
No, thank you.
Okay, Ms. Jordan?
You know what, I'm going to go ahead and say no. I mean,
Okay. Mr. Persons?
No.
Okay. Ms. Langford Fleming?
Nay.
Ms. Morgan?
Aye.
Okay, and I am a nay. So that motion fails 1-5. So at this point, we're back to the original motion on the table. Just for purposes, could you restate that motion, Mr. Persons? The original motion.
The motion is, I move to include Bishop Furrow at a reasonable and appropriate level in all sports.
Okay, before we go to public comment, is there further discussion on this specific motion from the dais? Anything else, want to add anything? Okay, at this point, the public is invited to give public comment on this motion that Mr. Persons has stated. There would be 3 minutes per person. Is there anyone from the audience that wishes to make public comment on said motion? Okay, seeing none. Before we proceed to a vote, I just want to double check if there's any other housekeeping matters, anything else we need to address. Okay, so we are going to do another roll call vote. Ms. Jordan.
I just want to make sure that Dr. Savage, when Dr. Savage goes, has this conversation, that we are informed of exactly what is transpiring and the effects, if any, that will be taking place to the schools and all of the other people in this.
Yeah, just to clarify how I would interpret a vote in the affirmative to proceed with this, I would concur the terms reasonable and appropriate to me are something that I can operate with, but I think it's very much making a clear direction of inclusivity that is both reasonable and appropriate for all sports. And so that would be the message that I carry forward as I meet to get additional context and information, also impact. How will this impact? What would that look like logistically? As soon as I get that type of information, as well as relay this type of expectation, if it were to be affirmative, then I would certainly give the board information on all those aspects of it, of what are the issues that I'm seeing as we try to come up with what would be reasonable, appropriate, things along those lines. Certainly the board would get that information sooner rather than later, within the due course it takes to move accordingly with this. I just don't know. There's a lot that I don't know. And so I'm speculating on any of those pieces beyond that.
Thank you. Because as I noticed, it was just about that one sport. So thank you.
This says all sports on here, so I would be taking it as I'm reading it.
Right, but I'm saying what we received was regarding one sport.
That's
So,
right.
yes.
That's the information, but there could be more aspects to it, and I'd be responsive to this entire statement.
Thank you.
No problem.
Ready then? Okay, we're going to do a roll call vote for this motion, starting with Ms. Juvenelli.
I'm a yes, thank you.
Okay, Ms. Jordan,
Yes, thank you.
Mr. Persons,
I'm a yes.
Ms. Langford Fleming,
Yes.
Ms. Morgan,
Yes.
and I'm a yes. Motion carries 6-0. You have your direction now, Dr. Savage. Thank you. Mr. Persons, is there anything else you want to address during your board comment?
No, thank you.
Next up is Ms. Langford Fleming.
Good afternoon, or good evening. It's been a long day. I would also like to make a motion. I was going to read that now.
Please proceed.
I move that the superintendent convene the calendar committee to discuss the inclusion of Veterans Day for the 24-25 school year and ensure that this is included in the calendar for all subsequent years.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
There we go. Ms. Giovanelli, moved by Ms. Langford Fleming, seconded by Ms. Giovanelli. Or discussion now?
I was just going to go ahead and
Yes,
explain
yes,
where I
yeah,
was coming
yeah,
from with this. Veterans Day is a day that we celebrate and honor all of our veterans of uniformed services who serve or are still serving. And Veterans Day is also a federal holiday that should be recognized in perpetuity. Thank you.
Mr. Persons?
I also think it just seems sort of crazy that we're telling, it's a holiday that almost everybody has off, and we're telling all the teachers and kids they have to go to school on that day. I think that's hard on parents and everything else. So I think it's something we should definitely honor on any day, because it's not always on a Monday or anything else. So if it's on a Saturday or Sunday that year, I can see not having to have that day off, obviously.
Others? Ms. Jordan?
I agree with that because I mean, I personally have family members who are veterans, but my question, I have another question, would be if the calendar is already approved and the conditions with talc, spout, and I think maybe if I may through to Kathy, Mr. Pre-Bruno, where does that leave us? And
Very good question. So the collective bargaining agreement does have a provision that the instructional calendar will be created by the committee. However, the committee can be reconvened to review things. I mean, the committee is the one that is responsible for making sure we have the appropriate amount of hours. If there's anything that could be shifted to ensure that we have the appropriate hours, that it will not disrupt the schedule, they can do that. And the board certainly can revisit this issue if the calendar committee makes another recommendation to the board. So this is why I think the motion is crafted in that way, to send it back to the appropriate channel and the appropriate process for review with the calendar committee to come back with a recommendation.
Okay, Ms. Giovanelli?
So one of our board members, and I'm not sure who is on the calendar committee? So just curious. Oh, you are? Okay. Did it come up in conversation? It did.
It did.
Because I know we've actually had constituents come and speak on that, why we don't observe it, and it's come up before. So I was just curious about that. This year it's on a Monday for 2024. I support this. I think I think I'll bring up very valid points. So let's see how this shakes out. Thank you.
Ms. Langford Fleming?
Yes, Ms. Giovanelli, I did sit in on that, and there was a lot of discussion about that particular day and also the two holidays in October that they alternate with. One of the big topics of conversation, and I did mention this several months ago when when did we approve this? November, December, a while ago. There was quite a bit of discussion about the four early dismissal days that are between August to December, and also the hardship on families of having to leave work and picking up kids at 1 o'clock, 12 o'clock. And are those PD days being used efficiently? Are they really necessary? All 4 of them before the semester. So those were just conversations. I don't shoot the messenger. These were just conversations that were going around the room. Lots of really good points. But if we are talking about hours that we obviously are required to meet, could one of the PD days be one of those hours, or take 2 off? I'm just throwing that out there as something we got to think outside the box possibly to make this happen this year. But those were the conversations that were going on in the room. And moving forward, I know that there was a high popularity trying to figure out how to get students and teachers out before Memorial Day as well. That's just, I just know that conversation was also, so maybe start thinking ahead for the 25-26.
So thank you for saying that, because I did have a lot of complaints too for those half days, because parents were taking the whole day off because they couldn't get, their child from school at 11 or 12 o'clock. It was a hardship. So, I've never been on the calendar thing, so I didn't know exactly how that's why I asked that question, because I think those conversations are important. And I was curious how that all shakes out. So, I think it's very valid, and I would love to know why we had these half days. No one's ever really told me. I know they have to be in school X amount of days a year. I understand that, but parents have asked, can it be full days instead of those half days? And I know teachers need time. Some of that is for teachers, but how can we come to a happy medium for all, and so it's not a hardship on one or the other? So, all right, thank you.
Any other comment? Ms. Langford Fleming?
I'll just add one more thing, Ms. Giovanelli, regarding the half-days. It wasn't, because obviously the calendar is made up of all types of constituents in our community. Thankfully, they volunteer their time to sit through this. But it's also hard on teachers, because an elementary school teacher who has a middle school child, or a middle school teacher who has an elementary school child, how are they supposed to leave? They have to take, some of our staff has to take personal days on the half days to be able to take care of their own child. I hope that's making sense, but it's not just it's anyone with children really falls under that reasoning.
Attorney Dupree Bruno?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And just for additional clarification based on this discussion, I just want to make sure it's on the record that there is a bill that was passed, Senate Bill 7002, which actually amended Florida Statute 1002.22 with regards to public school personnel and the powers of the district school board, and specifically addresses certain items and issues that normally would be part of collective bargaining, but outlining that there are certain things that are no longer not no longer, but that the school board can make decisions on those particular issues, and the district calendar is one of them. So I just want to make sure that it's clear and that members of the public understand this change in law as well.
Thank you, Attorney Dupree Bruno. Anything else before I move to public comment? Okay. At this point, I'm going to invite members of the public to comment on Ms. Langford Fleming's motion. You will have 3 minutes per speaker for this motion. Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to comment on this motion? Okay. I am seeing none. We have no public comment at this point. As long as everyone's ready to vote? Okay. At this point, I'm going to do another roll call vote. Ms. Giovanelli?
Yes.
Ms. Jordan?
Aye.
Mr. Persons?
Yes.
Ms. Langford Fleming?
Aye.
Ms. Morgan?
Aye.
And I am an aye, so motion passes 6-0. Now we will return to Ms. Langford Fleming if she has any additional comments.
I just wanted to add, I was honored to be able to speak to the class of 2024's new teacher orientation at the beginning of the week. Thank you to all of you that you were able to go this afternoon and cheer them on. I'm sure it was a long but productive week for them. We are so grateful to have you, but we're also so grateful to have all of our staff back. And I just appreciate so much of what goes into these preschool weeks. It is, I mentioned it earlier in a workshop that we have. I know I was a teacher for 20 years, and I know the minute I could get into the building, I was there, and my peers were there, and we were excited. In elementary school, it's all about your bulletin board. So I get that. I don't even know if they really do that anymore, but I'm aging myself. But I'm thrilled because I just have such a great feeling about this year, and I'm so excited to see our students and families walking the hallways and back on campuses, and this to be just a wonderful year for the entire district of Lee County. And that's all.
Thank you, Ms. Langford Fleming. Ms. Morgan?
So I can just second what everybody else has said. It's great to see all the faces back. I hope everyone had restful, relaxing vacations. Some of you volunteered to do more than just take some time off. Thank you for those of you who worked with our new cadre of employees. Appreciate you. And yeah, I'm excited to see everybody back and hope this is a wonderful school year for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Morgan. I have just a few brief comments. As part of the approval on the consent agenda tonight, we approved a very important contract. That was I-1, which is ice cream and frozen specialty items contract. And the reason I argue that is special, when I go and talk to the kids, especially in elementary school, they ask what we do. And I say one of the things we vote on is your ice cream and frozen treats. It gives them something to kind of relate to us. So, and I may have told my own kids that I was iffy if I was going to vote yes on this too, but no, it helps in the relation to kind of see how the school board works. So I also want to thank everyone, the professional development staff, including Dr. Martin today for the luncheon. It was really good to see the teachers that Ms. Langford was just talking about. It was great to see everyone there today. I'm excited for these new teachers and excited for the new year. One of the things I was able to do on our off time was I was able to visit a museum, and one of the museums had a display, an area talking about the trades, and it was really cool. It was interactive, made for kids, and they had different things like including welding, audio engineer, dental technician, all these kind of things. And for example, welding, they had actually a virtual interface with a computer with a pen where you could go and actually try to, it showed you how to do welding and the points and how consistent you were. The audio engineer showed how you would help mix something. That one of them was pharmacist, a pharmacy technician that showed kind of certain things of how to deal with the items and the pills. I thought it was fantastic. I'd love to see something in the future like that, some kind of display around here, so I can show you all that a little bit later. I thought it was really cool, just had all these different objects. So last but not least, I want to thank one of our unsung heroes, is Mr. Adam Wright tonight. I know there's been a change of equipment up here, and he has worked and his team very, very hard at that. He is behind the scenes right now, so I do want to give him a shout out and thank you for that. So Attorney Debris Bruno, do you have any comments for good order?
Just to welcome everybody back, and hopefully everybody's relaxed and excited for a great new year. So I'm really excited, and our team is excited. And sometimes we help with those ice cream contracts, so we're looking forward to that as well. Thank you.
Dr. Savage?
Yes, Chairman. Just one thing I want to highlight for the board right out of the gate was just when you all speak with one voice, when you give 2 6-0 votes and on a pretty clear direction, to me, I just wanted to kind of highlight for you that, we've contemplated a lot when you have an elected superintendent and what does that change about things. Well, this is a clear example. When the board speaks with one voice and gives clear direction, it doesn't matter if the person's appointed or elected, you direct that person in that way. And so I just want to kind of remind folks that it doesn't change a whole lot. The roles and responsibilities are the same. Just like you adopted the big tentative budget today and moved, at least set forward for us all the millage rates based on the tentative schedule, as well as setting our final deadline for September, that the board really does not change. All of your roles and responsibilities are that same piece, and I just wanted to highlight tonight as a particular example of that. I also wanted to echo to my colleague here, as we prepared for the start of the school year, we had all of our administrators recently, both central office and otherwise, and a good chunk of the professional learning that they had was actually delivered through legal. And so, one of the things they did teach me, though, as I sat and listened, was the ethics training. So I'm a little concerned, Chairman, that you may have a conflict of interest if you're approving ice cream that's for the benefit of the children and your family. So I'm wondering on that one thing, but I think we're okay for now. I also wanted to highlight some of the other direction that was already taking place. Ms. Montemoreno had already gone out and assisted with the one particular member of our staff who came and spoke at public comment, but I really want to give particular credit to Ms. Montemoreno and the HR team right now that has been just incredibly beating the bushes to get all the different types of teachers and folks hired, processed out in our schools, and they've just done a tremendous job. A credit to her and her entire team. I also wanted to highlight the professional development. So as you mentioned, all the new teachers, Helen Davis Martin, our Director of Professional Development, her team, in addition to putting forward all the learning, put together all the major events, all the organization for that, so the new teachers that were acknowledged in that way. Just really want to highlight tremendous work to make that all happen. They did all of that extra work. The other thing I just want to kind of close with was just some specific unique new teachers and how we sometimes are more connected than we realize. One of the administrators we approved tonight was a former student who then became an actual teacher in my building. Her parents were both long-term employees of this district. In fact, one of them just recently retired. So we gave out, as the last one, the longevity pen, and then retired. Her father had retired as a longtime employee of this district, and then her mother, still an employee of this district, was a principal secretary, has done a lot of work, and yet now she had moved up from being a student to being a teacher to an administrator, and now is out there serving in that capacity. Meanwhile, at the same new teacher event that we were all at, one of the, and a number of actually came up to me, one in particular came up to me, wanted me to know that he was one of my youngest brother's former students, one of his math team kids, who actually is already a career changer. He went off and studied, became an actuary, which for those who aren't aware, to become an actuary is very challenging. Passed 2 actuarial exams. Many actuaries, folks they can never pass any of those exams because they're so challenging. He worked in the pension system. Again, connected the pension system, and this actuarial work, very, very challenging, but found that it was missing something, and he really wanted to try to give back and was particularly motivated and inspired by the teaching, and so the teachers that had impact in him. He wanted to now come and do that, so he's going to be teaching at one of our high schools, teaching upper level math, and just wanted me to understand the connection that he turned down the actuarial, because I will say it compensates extremely well to have an impact. And so while we talk about compensation and we want to connect back to the Evergreen, all these other things, that for a lot of our folks out there that want to have an impact, these, and I'll say that the earlier one she was an incredible student earlier in this other particular piece, really one of the top students in our school. So we're attracting some incredible people to our field. And the reason is because of the people that lifted them up through our system. So when we inspire these people, whether it's their parents, whether it's the teachers they have, that encourage them that they want to make a difference and they are willing to turn down other more lucrative offers to come and pay it forward and to build up the next generation, that's the type of thing that as a person, as a superintendent, a parent of kids, it's inspiring to me to hear that. And I just figured I'd connect that message to you as well, the work that we're all doing, trying to lift up our community to see it firsthand. All right, and that's all I had for today.
Thank you, Dr. Savage, and great job, fellow board members, Dr. Savage, the admin team, the legal team. It's been quite a day, and everything went super smooth, and I really appreciate everyone up here. So at this point, on Tuesday, August 6th, there will be a closed session at 1:00 p.m., a school board briefing at 2 p.m., followed by a school board action meeting at 6 p.m. At this point, having no other business to come before this body and seeing no objection, this meeting is hereby adjourned. The time is 7:03 p.m. Have a great evening.